They get grants from the federal government. They feed seniors. Government-funded organizations. So these are organizations like.
Oh, also, bro, as I've gotten like closer to the top of like all this political stuff and all these organizations, I always assumed that there was like a certain echelon that you broke into where it's like, oh, these people are like serious and everybody knows their shit and like everybody really has a good handle on what's going on. And it is not like that. Holy man, people are just stupid everywhere. Not to be mean, but it's just a bunch of dumb, like from top to bottom. I only say this because I feel like through cutting programs and sometimes people find out like what it does. Like when people are like, oh, we should cut all the government funding to these entitlements. And you're like, okay, well, what does that money go to? And they're like, well, probably to woke universities and DEI programs. It's like, no, actually this like feeds hungry veterans and the VA. And like this funds Medicaid. And this funds like your office of like waste management. So sewage, like people have just no idea where any of the, like, it's like retards. Oh my God. But I don't know. Well, it's
Meals on Wheels, right? Their job, their mission.
Oh, also this Stephen Miller guy, this guy is evil. This is an evil person. He's not a bad person. He's not like a dumb person. He's not like a political whatever. He's an evil person, okay? Super right-hand man for Donald Trump. Super disgusting, degenerate, un-American, treasonous piece of shit, okay? Don't ever confuse it.
It's a private organization. They get grants from the federal government. They feed seniors. Meals on Wheels is currently in the dark. They don't know, does this order affect us? Does this mean we're not going to have any more funding coming in? They feed like 2 million seniors. So I'm just wondering, first of all, why a pause? An investigation, sure, I get that. Auditing, sure. Why a pause? And what about?
Well, Jake, once you spend money, you can't get it back. So, in other words, if you don't put federal programs under review that are wasteful or harmful to taxpayers, and then people hit send, you wouldn't believe the payments we've had to pause over the last few days with bureaucrats trying to funnel money out of the door, funnel money to the World Health Organization, funnel money to resettlement organizations, funnel money to foreign countries.
Like, when you say funnel money, do you mean just send the money where it was already allocated to go? Always pay attention. You have to protect your mind, okay? Everybody is crazy in the world right now, except for me, okay? And I'm not a cult leader, I promise. But like, the two biggest political streamers right now on Twitch are Hassan and Asmongold. What the fuck is happening on the planet, okay? Just be mindful of, it's not always what people say, it's what they don't say, okay? It's not always what they say, it's what they don't say, okay? When we say funneling, just think about what's being said, because a lot of stuff, there's a lot of verbiage that can be used to make you think something bad is happening, but you should like ask for an example. You know, when you say funneling money, maybe, I don't know, who knows, maybe I'll give it, like funneling money, like how I funnel money to like employees, or how like I funnel money to a gas station clerk when I buy a candy bar. Like what do we mean by funnel money? But okay. Cause he's like, it almost sounds like he's alleging like criminality or criminal behavior. What do you mean funneling money? Like stealing it or?
And so of course you have to put a pause on these discretionary grants of funding and have a political review process. In other words, there are people that are accountable to the taxpayer to review. It does not include, the review process does not include any public benefit program. So you mentioned Meals on Wheels. That is a public benefit program. OMB has been clear about this. Jake, we have to get control over this government. You know, I'll just stay on this point about NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden gave just one NGO responsible for resettling illegal aliens $3 billion, with the B, $3 billion.
Who? Name it. For what? That's a lot of money. Biden did this personally? Like Joe Biden, who's simultaneously like the most senile guy in the world, but is also masterminding everything. But now remember, whenever they use a Democrat's name, the reason why these arguments are so strong for conservatives when the syntax sounds so stupid is because every time they say a name, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, AOC, what they're always talking about is the deep state, which is whoever you want it to be. That's what they're always talking about. So that's why it's always like, if you were to push them and we were to try to figure out like what the fuck they mean, the deep state. Maybe it wasn't Biden, but it was the people behind Biden, you know? It's always something like that.
Dollars. President Trump, when he said drain the swamp, he meant it. And yes,
just wanna
so
make
those
sure-
kinds of spending programs are going to be put under review.
Okay, I don't think anybody's taking issue with if you find money that is being dispersed in an inappropriate way, halting it. I think what the confusion is this seemed to a lot of groups and a lot of states, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, like
A bit off topic, but do you think there is any chance the court could agree with Trump's EO about birthright citizenship? I don't know enough background. I don't know the law. I know a lot of people were linking a court case earlier. I am like totally a layman when it comes to anything having to do with like birthright citizenship. I don't know the history. I don't know any of that. In my like layman's feeling, the thing that would scare me is if they do it's called a writ of certiorari. So the Supreme Court agrees to hear the case. And then 2, the EO gets like overturned, but it gets overturned like 7-2. And we find out there's like an appetite in the court for an executive order rewriting parts of the Constitution or doing constitutional interpretation like that. That would be really wild to me. Would it actually get overturned? No shot. I can't believe that. That would be crazy. But like seeing like Alito and Thomas hop on it, like, I don't know. That would just be wild, but Jesus.
like a very sweeping order, and there is confusion. I just want to make sure I understand. So anybody out there that provides school lunches, anybody out there
Yeah,
that
there's
Do you think this shutdown is a good thing because the people that voted for Trump that rely on these things will see how retarded Trump is, or do they not have the ability to perform introspection? Okay, I'm trying to do this better. I read some stupid quote. You've all heard this before. A grant of certiorari, whatever. Not the writ. The writ is the request. The quote is something like, don't go where the puck is, but go where the puck will be. Try to be where the puck will be, right? When you say, I made this mistake, I think, and I take it back, that there needs to be like punishment for conservatives in order for them to understand like the bad choices they're making, this, I think, relies on the faulty assumption that what I consider a bad outcome, they would consider a bad outcome. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if prices go up because of all the tariffs, then Trump voters are going to realize they made a mistake, and we're going to walk back from that policy. That was what I thought. But I actually don't think that will happen. I think what will happen is I think people will start bragging about, or it'll be considered like patriotic to pay more for eggs made in America or something. I think that what I considered a bad thing, they would see as like a noble, is it exsanguination? Or there's a name for like when you it's not flatulence, flagellate? Is it flagellation? Yeah. I wish I could remember an article I read a long time ago about this, but like sometimes people will say they want a thing, but in reality they just want somebody else to suffer or hurt. Like it's unironic, like own the libs thing, where as long as somebody else is getting fucked over, you'll take a little bit of pain. So if the tariffs go through and fucking China is bitching about it, or Mexicans are complaining about it, or whatever, or at least conservatives make you think they're complaining about it, then they'll be okay. They'll be happy paying higher prices. They'll be like, okay, yeah, fuck it. Okay, that's fine. At least we're doing it for America, you know? I think that's the world that's not the world that we're headed for. I think that's the world that we're in right now. And I think we need to realize that more.
Zero impact on public benefit programs, full stop, as OMB has made clear. And I want to really drill down on this, Jake, because it's so important. Mm-hmm. There's 2 million employees in the federal government. Overwhelmingly, the career federal service in this country is far left wing. I don't
know that to be a fact.
Well, I'll give you a great example. We looked at USAID as an example.
That's
98% of the workforce either donated.
Just running heuristics. I don't know anything about the stats he's about to say. However, anytime somebody wants to generalize a group of people, and when they start giving you stats and the stats seem hyper-specific, you can almost be assured that the exact opposite of what they're saying is true. And the reason why you can know that is because if this person believes a thing and they went through the trouble of looking up a stat to support the thing, if the thing was true, they would give you the stat. If they're giving you a misleading stat, it's because they know that they're wrong. So when, like, it's like somebody says like, oh, girls are dumber than boys. And it's like, well, how do you know that? Well, if you look at the IQ tests that were given to young children ages 8 to 11 in Arkansas, you can actually see that girls routinely underperform. It's like, wait, why? What the fuck? What the fuck is that cohort? Why is that our go-to, right? Why is, if he just made a claim about all bureaucratic workers in government, and now he's citing USAID as one organization. Why not just cite the entire federal workforce? You are the federal government. You should know, right? I imagine if the registration is public, like I imagine you would know, right? Why are you just citing USAID? Which isn't USAID like an org for like doing foreign aid and going around the world helping? Like it makes sense that these people would be more like left leaning. No, like I'm curious. Is the military the largest government employer? Because I feel like that probably leans right. I thought it was like 90% conservatives, but the SSA actually might be the largest. I feel like I read that. The Social Security Administration. I don't know if like the whole military counts as like one thing that you can talk about, but oh, USAID has 10,000 employees? Wait, how many people employed by US government? Around 3 million people. How many people in the Department of Defense? Would that be over 1.4 million people? Hold on. Political leanings of people in Department of Defense. This is from 2009. I wonder if this information is even... This might not account for contractors or contracted companies. Yeah, that's what a wild org to cite as evidence that the whole federal government, 10,000 employees? Wait, top 10 largest federal agencies. We've got the Veterans Affairs, the Navy, the Army, Homeland Security, the Air Force, Defense, Justice Department, Treasury, Agriculture, Health and Human Services. Why the fuck is he citing USAID? Okay, well, anyway, like I said, yeah. If they're citing a specific thing like that, it's probably because they're lying to you. Okay.
Find money that is being dispersed in an inappropriate way, halting it. I think what the confusion is this seemed to a lot of groups and a lot of states, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, like a very sweeping order, and there is confusion. I just want to make sure I understand.
Destiny, he said far left too, which is just referring to Democrats. No, there's a thing that I try to coach you guys on, okay? You have to remember this, okay? Every single time they say far left, socialist, communist, radical leftists, they are always talking about rank and file Democrats. That is always the case, okay? That is always the case. When they say, like, you have to be aware of the different vernaculars used in different arenas. When they say far left, they're not talking about like Hassan Piker. They're talking about like Joe Biden, or they're talking about like Nancy Pelosi, like all the names that you recognize, or Hillary Clinton, or Dick Cheney. I guess now, like anybody that aligns with the Democrats, this is always the far left, the radical leftists is always that. It's not just socialists and communists. Don't ever forget that.
There is confusion. I just want to make sure I understand. So anybody out there that provides school lunches, anybody out there?
Yeah, there's zero impact on public benefit programs, full stop, as OMB has made clear. And I want to really drill down on this, Jake, because it's so important. Mm-hmm. There's 2 million employees in the federal government. Overwhelmingly, the career federal service in this country is far left wing.
I don't
The
know-
American people.
I don't know that to be a fact.
Well, I'll give you a great example. We looked at USAID as an example.
Like, look at how crazy that is. Notice how he gives you the number of employees. This is intentional, right? This is practiced. This is why he's evil. Notice how he gave you the number of federal employees, but he's not going to give you the number of USAID employees. I wonder if Tapper will ask him. I should let it play.
That's
98% of the workforce either donated to Kamala Harris or another left-wing candidate, just as an example.
okay, but
Like, what does that mean? Either donated to Kamala Harris or another left-wing candidate. When? In the totality of their lives?
Let me just
demonizing an entire workforce is having a
wait. Whoa! Did
I
you
don't
just
think that's
say that saying someone voted for Kamala Harris is demonizing them?
No.
So according-
your suggestion is that
You said far leftists, and then the example you gave was people who donated to Kamala Harris. A buddy of mine's girlfriend is at USAID, was furloughed along with pretty much everyone there last night. Make your face screen bigger. I don't like this camera phone. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll look at my scenes later in a few days.
there's a bias.
No,
Your suggestion.
but you used the word demonizing. You just said that I'm demonizing somebody by saying they voted for Kamala Harris.
Let's get back on track.
But I am on track.
Okay.
Let me stay on track. What I'm saying to you is this: there are 2 million employees in the federal government.
Right.
They're overwhelmingly left of center. The
Again,
American people.
facts
I got to
not
finish the sentence.
Okay.
I got to finish the sentence. The American people voted for dramatic change implemented by Donald Trump. So it is essential for him to get control of government.
I live in Texas, and I've heard people talk about it being illegal to leave the state to get an abortion in another state, but I can't find anything about it. Have you heard about this? I think people are worried about that, but I don't know if it is illegal. But there might be ways that that is illegal. We can talk about that after. I'm not sure. I don't know how the current Texas laws are written.
By Donald Trump. So it is essential for him to get control of government, to establish a whole of government process for Donald Trump's political appointees to review discretionary grants of spending for pet projects that are not directed by Congress. In other words, these are pots of money where Congress hasn't said how to spend it or where to spend it. This might be something like saying, I want to build a $500 million fountain in the court.
I'm sorry, and I could be wrong. I don't have the answer. Maybe nobody has the answer. Maybe this country is just fucked. I feel like Tapper needs to just call him evil. Like, this is like you're doing a Himmler bro or a Goebbels or whatever the fuck. Like, this is your job now. That's you. Do you acknowledge that that's what you are? Like, you're playing games with numbers, you're outright lying, you're demonizing and cascading half the population. Now you're unilaterally defunding federal organizations, agencies that have been authorized by Congress. You're usurping all the power to one man, to the president, not even to the executive, but just to the president. You're undermining your own executive branch. And now you've come out here to do your little SS messaging, to just tell lies to the media and the people. And if they don't even accept your lies, I guess you're going to sue them all too. Like, it's...
Yard of the Department of Commerce. This might be something like saying, I want to fund gender studies in Afghanistan. There has to be political control and review.
Like, how much money is going to gender studies in Afghanistan? Anybody know? How much money are we spending on gender studies in Afghanistan? And also, here's another thing. I'm going to make a huge assumption out of nowhere. And you know what? I bet I'm right. When he says gender studies in Afghanistan, I bet that what he's talking about is, I bet there was some study or some research or some investigation into what women's rights currently are in Afghanistan. Like, what's the result of women not being allowed to go to school or whatever? The fact that this guy, like, I love that you can just derisively call that all gender studies. How fucking cringe. Jesus. Also, remember this, okay? If you to take us to your grave, none of these fucking losers that advocate for this shit that is going to start to borderline fucking eugenics would survive their own programs either, okay? These people are fucking disgusting.
I can't help it if left-wing media outlets published a fake news story that caused confusion. If you read the OMB guidance memo, it is... Well, if you read the OMB guidance memo,
I don't know what
it's as
left-wing
clear as
media
day.
We just talked to Congressman Don Bacon, a Republican, a Trump supporter. We just interviewed him. He said that there was a lot of confusion. He said that the executive order
created by the media, Jake. The OMB guidance memo, if you read it.
How can the media create confusion about how your own federal departments are operating? Is the department watching the media? The only people who get confused about the media, by the way, are Republicans, because that's literally where they live. God, fuck, I love that. when Jim Jordan was trying to question Rosenstein, and he's like, I've been hearing reports on the media. It's like, what the fuck do you want me to say, bro? Bring the media up here and ask them questions. Fuck. Sorry, we won't watch all this. But
Mr. Chairman, may the witness be permitted to answer the question?
It's not personal.
posed?
The gentleman will suspend. The witness is going to have an opportunity to say whatever he wants at the end of Mr. Jordan's 5 minutes. Until the
It is
end
not
of those
personal.
5 minutes, they're his time.
I appreciate your service. It's not personal. We just want the information. Why did you tell Peter Strzok not to answer our questions yesterday? When I asked Peter Strzok if he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, he gave us the answer he gave us dozens of times. On advice of FBI counsel, I can't answer that question. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate your sincere concerns, but I didn't give Peter Strzok any instructions. If there was some problem with the instructions he had, I'll be happy to look into it.
Not what his
You have to
FBI lawyer
understand,
said.
Mr. Jordan, when you find some problem with a production or with questions, it doesn't mean that I'm personally trying to conceal something from you. It means we're running an organization that's trying to follow the rules, and we're going to respond.
You know what was interesting? When I asked him if he'd ever talked to Bruce Orr, he said he had. Said he had 3 times in 2016 and 2017. Then I asked him, have you ever talked to Nellie Orr? And he said, no, I haven't. I said, well, why can you answer that question? Because Nellie Orr worked for Glenn Simpson, worked for Fusion. He could answer that question, but he couldn't answer because FBI counsel told him he couldn't. He couldn't answer the question whether he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, a journalist. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you saying it isn't personal. Sometimes it feels that way. How do I know, sir? I mean, you interviewed Mr. Strzok. I didn't, so I can't
Works
answer.
for you. Doesn't work for us.
There are 115,000 people who work for me, sir.
Mr. Rosenstein, did you threaten staffers on the House Intelligence Committee? Media reports indicate you did.
Media reports are mistaken.
Sometimes. But this is what they said. Having the nation's #1 law enforcement officer threaten to subpoena your calls and emails is downright chilling. Did you threaten to subpoena their calls and emails?
No, sir, and there's no way to subpoena phone calls.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I'm reading what the press said. I'm reading what the press
I would
said.
suggest that you not rely on what the press says, sir.
Well, I didn't ask if there's no way to do it. I asked if you said it.
If I said what?
What I just read you.
No, I did not.
Well, now who are we supposed to believe? Staff members who we've worked with, who've never misled us, or you guys who we've caught hiding information from us, who tell a witness not to answer our questions? Who are we supposed to believe?
Thank you for making clear it's not personal, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I didn't. I'm saying the
You should
Department of
believe me
Justice.
because I'm telling the truth and I'm under oath. And if you want to put somebody else under oath and they have something different,
I know
to say,
these
I'll be
staff
happy to
members.
Respond.
Here's.
it's just so crazy that, like, conservatives live and breathe the media, and he's accusing the media of confusing other people. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's confusing your own people, but it's probably your own media that's doing it. Like,
Is as clear as day.
It's pretty
my
broad
point is,
and confusingly written.
I can't.
Parts of
I
it are about
can't-
DEI, parts of it are all disbursement. It is.
Yeah, DEI is suspended. That is correct.
Right, no, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of all over the map, and there is confusion, and it's not just liberal
Jake,
media.
Jake, tell
Listen,
me-
Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski
No,
said
You're not
today-
understanding what I'm saying.
But
I'm saying that
I want you to address this.
I will, but I'm saying that a false story was put out that people responded to. It's unfortunate that people put out a false story. That's all I'm saying, Jake.
Okay.
That's all
Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski said, quote, nobody really knows how long, unquote, this review of these federal funds is going to last. And she said it's, quote, been a big challenge, unquote, to get answers from the Trump administration. So here's an opportunity. How long is this review going to take? And when does
any advice on how to deal with the constant rage because of this disgusting shit? The thing, I've said this a million times. I'll continue to say this. The problem is the media landscape. And I think I'll continue to lean on that League of Legends analogy. You're asking, like, how do you fight against a troll on your own team? You don't. Generally, unless it's changed for League of Legends, the EV positive play, the best thing you can do when you've got like an enter or a troll on your team is to forfeit 15 or to try to get out of the game as quickly as possible rather than trying to waste an hour or something salvaging a game that you can never win because you've got an enter on your team. The problem is right now, the Republican Party, they're inters. They don't give a fuck about anything having to do with the well-being of the country. And so the question is like, well, how do you deal with it? Well, when you step into the media environment, have you been on X? Holy shit. And now it's probably going to start infecting Meta too. The issue is you're not playing the same game, right? One side wants to do things to make the country better. And there are far leftists, actual far leftists, who are also pieces of shit too. Your Hassan bikers, all these people, right? Sure. However, I think a lot of center left people generally want the country to be better. On the far right, they don't give a fuck. It's all a meme. So you're entering an environment where everybody's memeing and trolling and being ironic, and they've got like a billion fucking bots now from other countries behind them that nobody wants to deal with anymore. And they've got the blessing and the encouragement of the Republican establishment, meaning the political party and the president, the media forces and the mainstream media, the alternative media, and potentially the courts, and all the people in tech, right? So how do you step into that environment? You're like stepping into a room with 9 low-functioning autistic kids, and you've been given, you know, like a house of cards that you're supposed to continue to build up. It's like, I don't know what the answer is there. Like, how do you even step into that environment and have a conversation or do anything? Like, it's not fun. It's just like, it's not fun. I say fun because I'm thinking League of Legends. It's not productive. I don't know if there's any way to be productive there.
How long is this review going to take, and when does the federal funding for these programs resume?
Well, in the original executive order that addressed NGOs, foreign aid, and other grants, that was a 90-day review process, as you know, Jake. But again, more fundamentally, I think we're missing the big point here. Do you believe, does anyone believe, that an unaccountable, career-tenured bureaucrat should be able to approve vast sums of money for the projects that they personally agree with?
Like, Tapper should just ask him, okay, how does federal funding work? Stephen Miller doesn't know the answer, by the way, because he's an evil dipshit. He's both. I was wrong when I said he's not stupid. He is stupid. He's stupid and evil. He's stupid and evil. He should ask him, oh, okay, well, who makes these rules? Tell us. Who do you think who makes a federal rule? Who decides? Does Congress decide the individual allocation of every single dollar, or is there deference left to the executive agencies? Like, who makes every single decision? The answer is there's decently wide deference, depending upon the thing you're talking about, given to executive agencies when it comes to the implementation of and the execution of laws passed by Congress. That is how it works. Now, you say unaccountable bureaucrats. I don't know what unaccountable bureaucrats means. Anybody can be fired. They're not like tenured positions in government. These are people that are working in these agencies to carry out, ideally, laws passed by Congress.
For the projects that they personally agree with, that no accountable employee in the federal government has reviewed.
I'm literally asking about Meals on Wheels. I mean, you know,
I don't
know what you're talking
yes,
about.
Jake, you do know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, as the memo says in black and white letters, no financial benefit programs to Americans are affected. No individual assistance programs are affected. It's there in black and white.
Yeah.
We always knew that the media was going to spin up fake stories to try to create controversy, to try to create scandal. I'm not saying you, Jake. I would never say you. I'm not saying you.
We invited you on to clarify, Stephen, and we just heard from
I'm
Republican
here.
Right, I know, and I appreciate it. And I want to turn to immigration.
What? You should just say, we brought you on to clarify, and you haven't clarified anything. It sounds like you guys didn't think through any of this shit, because you didn't. The real questions here would be, okay, who did you coordinate with in your federal agencies when this EO went out? Talk me through the process of writing up these EOs to ensure that there wouldn't be any confusion. Because remember, all of this is a lie, and all of this is a game by Stephen Miller. Okay, these are all like fashy games that he's playing with the media, right? Because if you were doing this properly, there's a ton of ways that you could do this. You draft the EO, you check with your Office of Legal Counsel to make sure it's all on the up and up. You communicate this down to your federal agencies so that at the very least your cabinet knows how to carry shit out in whatever's affected. Then you can go to the media. You've got spokespeople in the White House who are in charge of communications. Okay, people like Stephen Himmler over here, okay? You've got these people who are in charge of these types of communications that should have this and know this top to bottom, how to communicate on every single point, but they don't. If you're blaming the media for being able to spin a thing about an EO, that's your fucking fault. You have the most powerful communication platform in the world, more so than at any other point in history. You're literally friends with the guy who owns the largest news media promulgator. I don't know if that makes sense. The X or whatever you would call it, the social media site. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't have this messaging on lock.
1 second, but I'm just saying, Republican Congressman Don Bacon was hearing from constituents. We have no idea.
What position is the guy in government? I don't know. Stephen Miller worked on Trump campaigns in the past. I don't know if he must have some. Oh shit, he's the deputy chief of staff right now, which would be the second position of the chief of staff, right? So Susie Wiles is the current chief of staff. The chief of staff is your cabinet level or cabinet equivalent, whatever, is your head person of the department of, or in this case, an office of the White House. So the White House has its own like office, not like an office building or space, but like office. And the head of that office, so like your head of Health and Human Services, your head of your Department of Defense, the head of the White House office, which is in charge of like running the White House and the president's like day-to-day shit, basically. So the head of this is Susie Wiles, and then the person beneath her, her deputy, is Stephen Miller. That's his position.
Idea where the constituents were getting their information was from. But I will say, last night, when people started noticing this order, people were upset based on the executive order. I was hearing from them directly.
The executive order, Jake, the executive order was issued 7 days ago.
I understand that, but it was going when people started noticing this order, people were upset based on the executive order. I was hearing from them directly.
The executive order, Jake, the executive order was issued 7 days ago.
Weren't there like 100 executive orders issued 7 days ago? How many executive orders issued so far? How many have been issued so far? That fit 100 number might have been an exaggeration. I don't know how many have actually been. 37, okay. 37, is that true? 37 so far? Like, bro, it's been 7 days. Get through it.
I understand that, but it was going when the word got out.
This is an OMB guidance document.
Right, exactly.
Look,
and when that went out, people got it.
Yes.
And you heard Congressman Don Bacon saying he was worried.
Yes.
Now he's not, but he was worried that before school programs and after school programs in Nebraska.
I was just wondering why Republicans are demonized by destiny. It probably comes off as me demonizing them because I have a strong view of like what this country should be or what like important American values are, and Republicans do not represent that. Whatever my idea of being an American is or having American values, I don't believe that Republicans currently embody that, or at least MAGA doesn't. Destiny, my entire agency woke up this morning, had no fucking idea what the memo meant for our work, and most of our jobs is dispersing grants. Yeah, I mean, like, obviously I don't like to go by anecdote, but when I get a lot of emails on something, I think I can tell, like, if I've, like, fucked up a talking point or something. I remember one time, I think that one of the biggest examples of this is when I said, like, COVID is basically over, and I think we're good on all of that shit. I think I said this in, like, 2022 or something. I got so many emails from doctors and nurses who are like, bro, we are fucked in hospitals. The shortage in staff, top to bottom, is insane. I was like, oh, shit. I got quite a few emails and quite a few messages from people right now telling me that they work with federal agencies or they do something, and either they know friends whose a whole bunch of apparently job offers got rescinded. It is a thing that I've just gotten communicated to. A bunch of people don't know what's happening with their current jobs, and like people are looking for guidance right now from the federal government on what the implementation of any of these EOs even looks like. So these are just messages I get. But when I get like more than 5, I'm like, oh shit, what's going on here?
Yes.
And you heard Congressman Don Bacon saying he was worried.
Yes.
Now he's not, but he was worried that before school programs and after school programs in Nebraska were going to be affected.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But you've clarified
the media. I'm sorry. That
What's an EO? Executive order. Is this just a massive confusing fuck up from the executive that we corrected / reversed pretty quick? Or is this an actual evil intentional action that's going to fuck a ton of people? Who knows? Maybe they're trying to capitalize on the chaos. So in a chaotic environment, chaos is a ladder. They can figure their shit out better. But I mean, it's bad leadership regardless. If you're trying to do what you want to do in the EOs, this is bad leadership because there's just no coordination. It's a fucking disaster. Okay,
right, exactly.
Look,
and when that went out, people got it. Yes. And you heard Congressman Don Bacon saying he was worried.
Yes.
Now he's not, but he was worried that before school programs and after school programs in Nebraska were going to be affected.
I'm sorry.
But you've clarified
the media. I'm sorry that the media has falsely reported on this story.
I don't know what you're talking about in terms of false reports. It was a broadly written executive order, and there's
no. You're conflating two different things.
Stephen,
an executive order was issued a week ago. There were some
and then there was the
bureaucrats
OMB memo.
There were some bureaucrats in the federal government.
He's not trying to answer. The plan isn't to be successful in any one legal action. Their strategies move so quickly and so broadly that they can overwhelm any legal or political pushback, and so that the media can't keep up. That could be the case. It might be intentional. It could be intentional. I mean, remember a couple months ago, I think I said something along the lines of, I think a few months ago, I said something along the lines of, one of the fears about the cabinet people that he's picked is that like 4 or 5 will get tossed and the rest of these insane people will stay in. And the actual reality of what happened is basically everybody got in. Remember that? Because I think, has everybody either been confirmed or is expected to be confirmed? Like Hegseth passed, the crazy Putin spy passed. Like, I guess Gates ended up getting not in, but basically every single person got. Tulsi's not in yet, or Patel, RFK. Oh, I thought she was supposed to get in. I haven't read anything. I'm just Googling around. I thought that all of these people are expected to pass now. RFK, Tulsi, and Patel are this week. Oh, okay.
Who tried to push out money, billions of dollars, for wicked and pernicious purposes that had to be frozen. A guidance memo was written. OMB guidance memos are by their nature complicated to read because this involves the federal budget.
Okay. Is it complicated to read? Let's see. It's a memo. By definition, memos are not supposed to be complicated to read. That's why it's a memo. It's just a thing that you read to get an overview of something. But let's see. Let's see what this says. From Matthew Vaith, Acting Director, the Office of Management and Budget. Subject, temporary pause of agency grant, loan, and other financial assistance programs. This is a memorandum for the heads of executive departments and agencies. So for all of your cabinet level positions, oh fuck, I'm not going to know all of them. I should know all of them. Cabinet level positions, United States of America. Let's just look it up real quick for which ones are considered the largest department heads. Cabinet includes a vice president and heads of 15 executive departments. Listed here the order of their succession to the presidency. Okay. I don't remember what the difference is between a cabinet level position and a cabinet equivalent position. But so you have the vice president, who's, I think he's the head of the office of the vice presidency as well. I believe there's a separate office for that. That's who Pence's advisors work for. So you have the vice president. You've got the Secretary of State, which is the head of your State Department or your Department of State. We call it the State Department. I don't know why. You've got the head of the Secretary or the head of the Treasury Department, the Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense is your head of the DOD. Your Attorney General is your head of your DOD's Department of Defense. Your Attorney General is the head of the Department of Justice. Secretary of the Interior are responsible for management and conservation of most federal land, along with natural resources. Okay, I don't know anything about Interior Department or whatever. Or Department of the Interior. Secretary of Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development. I like how they got type a little bit, but then look at us like you're in a big working pose. This is the only guy doing work here. Look at this guy. Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Secretary of Homeland Security. All right. Look at this guy, working hard. Okay, so these are going to the heads of, actually I said cabinets, but it's probably just the head of every executive department and agency. Okay. And this is coming from the president's office. The executive office of the president. Okay. The American people elected Donald J. Trump to be president of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal taxpayer dollar. Okay, I could be wrong. I fully admit I could be wrong. I don't know if this language is a new thing for just like MAGA, but I feel like usually when you read like memos or internal like just like stuff like this, like these official documents, usually it's pretty dry and it's like factual. But when MAGA is writing these memos, it's like, good day, comrades. I'm here to remind you that God Emperor Trump, who has been entrusted with the vote for president by the American people, is here today to dictate to you how to best serve the wonderful people of this country who entrusted in us, MAGA. It's maybe there have been other people that have written that in the past, but also remember, we got to stop. I'm not saying you, because I get trolled by this too. Got to stop getting trolled by conservatives, okay? Conservatives losing the popular vote fucking ate away at their souls, okay? It ate away at their souls. They hated losing the popular vote. And they always said it didn't matter and we don't care. We're a republic, not a democracy. So people in California voted. But bro, when they won the popular vote, holy shit. Now the popular vote is so important. And that whole like mandate from the people, the mandate from the American people that the popular, oh my God, they love it now. Just don't ever get trolled by that. Okay. Anyway, sorry. It's just weird, like dictator-like language, but whatever. The American people elected Donald J. Trump to be president of the United States and gave him a mandate to increase the impact of every federal taxpayer dollar. Fiscal year 2024, of the nearly $10 trillion that the federal government spent, more than $3 trillion was federal financial assistance, such as grants and loans. Career, and it's kind of weird that you would group those together, considering loans are supposed to be paid back, but okay. Career and political appointees in the executive branch have a duty to align federal spending and action with the will of the American people as expressed through presidential priorities. No, that's not true. Career and political appointees in the executive branch have a duty to align federal spending. They have a duty to align it with whatever comes from Congress. That's what they're supposed to align it with. The president, the executive branch, is not a lawmaking branch. So it's not their duty to decide what to spend. More so, how should they spend what Congress has told them to spend? So this is just not true. But I mean, it's just more power grabs for. Also, I'm saying this. I'm not just making this distinction for no reason. Okay, I'm being very clear when I'm saying this. He's not just grabbing power for the executive. He's grabbing power for the presidency. Okay, he's not even just grabbing power for his branch, right? He's grabbing power for his office. Career and political appointees, because look at this. This language is attacking. This language here is an attack. Hold on, I'm permabanning you real quick in chat. A lot of loan programs have principal forgiveness provisions. Eat shit, loser. Get the fuck out of here. Career and political appointees. This is a slur. This is an insult, right? Career politician and political appointees, these are slurs that conservatives use, okay? So don't be confused about what you're reading here, okay? Career and political appointees in the executive branch have a duty to align federal spending and action with the will of the American people as expressed through presidential priorities, okay? So all of the loser cucks in the executive branch need to fall in line with the president of the United States, okay? Financial assistance should be dedicated to advancing administration priorities, focusing taxpayer dollars to advance a stronger and safer America, eliminating the financial burden of inflation for citizens, unleashing American energy and manufacturing, ending wokeness and the weaponization of government. Does that mean we're getting rid of our military? Promoting efficiency in government and making America healthy again. The use of federal resources to advance Marxist equity transgenderism, and Green New Deal social engineering policies is a waste of taxpayer dollars that does not improve the day-to-day lives of those we serve. Fuck, we have to. Somebody has to give me, I'm so sorry, fuck, okay, forget everything else that I had in the background. Somebody please email me a recommendation for the best book on the rise of the fucking Third Reich. This is like cultural Bolshevism. Nazis had all of these ideas about how like the Bolsheviks or all of the new art and everything was being run by the Jews. It's the same shit, actually. I was just about to say the same shit they say today. Hollywood is being run by the Jews and the art is being run by the Jews and it's all fascist and it's all like, fuck, give me books. This is what we need to read, okay? This is what we need to be reading now. The use of federal resources to advance Marxist equity, transgenderism. These two things, by the way, are like opposed to each other because a Marxist wouldn't give a fuck about trans people. They would only care, or they would hyperfixate on class relations, I believe. And Green New Deal social engineering policies. Remember, every policy that the Democrats pass, this was even Rush Limbaugh would say this, it's not about like the policy, it's about controlling your life, okay? What is cultural Bolshevism? That's like the first type of like weird neo-Nazi, or not neo-Nazi, I'm sorry, pre-Nazi stuff. No, during the Nazi Party. I'm not gonna be able to give you much detail about it, but I think that Bolshevism was like a rise in like artistic movement in the Weimar Republic, I think. But I think that, fuck me, I might be butchering this. But I think that like early Nazis or pre-Nazi people were saying that all of these artistic movements and all this art that's being pushed that's degrading our culture and causing this like moral decay is actually being engineered by Jews. And I think that the term given to that was cultural Bolshevism. Like retrospectively, I believe Bolshevism is Russian communism. I thought cultural Bolshevism grew to expand to encompass like huge art movements and everything as well. Maybe I'm making this up. I might not be. The development of modern art at the beginning of the 20th century, so this is early 1900s, albeit with roots going back to the 1860s, denoted a revolutionary divergence from traditional artistic values to ones based on the personal perceptions and feelings of the artists. This rejection of traditional authority intimately linked to the Industrial Revolution, the individualistic values of the Age of Enlightenment, and the advance of democracy as the preferred form of government in the West was exhilarating to some. However, it proved extremely threatening to others, as it took away the security they felt under the older way of things. To many Germans of the time, and especially to the adherents of Nazism, the very cohesiveness of Western culture and civilization appeared to be in dire peril. The modernist break occurred around the same time as the October Revolution, 1917 in Russia, and those who felt threatened by the new artistic viewpoint associated it with a group that came to power after the revolution, the Bolsheviks with their Marxist-Leninist political philosophy. In reality, the connection between the modernism and Bolshevism was extremely tenuous, primarily a matter of both existing at the same time, the same turbulent time in European history. Still, some artists in Western Europe drew inspiration from revolutionary ideals to the extent that Dadaist Richard Holzenbeck, confidently declared in 1920 that Dada was a German Bolshevist affair. The association of new art with Bolshevism circulated in right-wing and nationalist discourse in the following years, being the subject of a chapter of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. Amid Hitler's rise to power, the Nazis denounced a number of contemporary styles as cultural Bolshevism, notably abstract art and Bauhaus architecture. After seeing a colleague beaten by Nazi supporters for comments sympathetic to modern art, topographer Paul Renner published an essay against Nazi aesthetics titled Kultur Bolshewismus. Around the same time, Karl von Ossietzky mocked the flexibility of the term in Nazi writings, but there you go. Nobody in the Democratic Party is like, these people are not like Marxists. It's so cringe. Bauhaus, is that how you say it? This memorandum requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements. Okay, CFR 201 defines federal financial assistance to mean assistance that recipients or subrecipients receive or administer in various forms, but this term does not include assistance provided directly to individuals. For the purpose of this memorandum, federal financial assistance includes, 1, all forms of assistance listed in paragraphs 1 and 2 of the definition of this term at 2 CFR 200.1, and 2, assistance received or administered by recipients or subrecipients of any type for assistance received directly by individuals. What does that mean? So like if you give money to a state for food stamps and then the state gives money to an individual, does that mean that it would be absolved from this? Destiny, read the quote from that wiki page. It's insane. What, this? Cultural Bolshevism is when conductor Klemperer takes tempi different from his colleague Furtwängler, when a painter sweeps a color into his sunset not seen in Lower Pomerania, when one favors birth control, when one builds a house with a flat roof, when a cesarean birth is shown on the screen, when one admires the performance of Chaplin and the mathematical wizardry of Einstein. This is called cultural Bolshevism and a personal favor rendered to Herr Stalin. It is also the democratic mentality of the brothers Heinrich and Thomas Mann, a piece of music by Hindemith or Weil, and is to be identified with the hysterical insistence of a madman for a law giving him permission to marry his own grandmother. So this quote, I don't know directly all of the references, but the quote is just saying that, fucking kill me, bro. History rhymes, is that what they say? That basically, anything could be cultural Bolshevism if you really want it to be. It's just anything that scares you and you've got like a nice little group to throw them into, and you just call them cultural Bolsheviks, is what the quote is basically saying, yeah. So I guess basically, when Peterson does what did he used to say? He doesn't say this phrase anymore. Postmodern neo-Marxist or Marxist postmodernist or whatever. It's like that. Like everything is postmodern Marxism, but I don't know if I want to go and dig into all of these. Nothing in this memo should be construed to impact Medicare or Social Security benefits. Okay. For example, during the initial days of his administration, President Donald J. Trump issued a series of executive orders to protect the American people and safeguard valuable taxpayer resources, including protecting the American people against invasion, reevaluating and realigning United States foreign aid, putting America first in international environmental agreements, unleashing American energy, ending he's just quoting EOs here, defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government. Okay. And enforcing the Hyde Amendment. These executive orders ensure that federal funds are used to support hardworking American families. Gotcha. To implement these orders, each agency must complete a comprehensive analysis of all of their federal financial assistance programs to identify programs, projects, and activities that may be implicated by any of the president's executive orders. In the interim, to the extent permissible under applicable law, federal agencies must temporarily pause all activities related to obligation or disbursement of all federal financial assistance and other relevant agency activities that may be implicated by the executive orders, including but not limited to financial assistance for foreign aid, non-governmental organizations, DEI, woke gender ideology, and the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal never passed. Why do we still even talk about this? Holy shit. This temporary pause will provide the administration time to review agency programs and determine the best use of the funding for those programs consistent with the law and the president's priorities. The temporary pause will become effective on January 28th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Even before completing their comprehensive analysis, federal agencies must immediately identify any legally mandated actions or deadlines for assistance programs arising while the pause remains in effect. Holy shit. Wait, when was this issued? Yesterday. God damn. Imagine getting an executive order or a memo yesterday saying by end of day today, your shit needs to be fucking closed and you need to identify. Holy fuck. Federal agencies must report this information to OMB along with an analysis of the requirement. OMB also directs federal agencies to pause all activities associated with open NOFOs, such as conducting merit review panels. What is a NOFO? Notices of funding opportunities. Okay. I know someone who works for the EPA who got an email from their boss telling employees to report anyone who they believe to be a DEI hire so they can be fired. No later than February 10th, 2025, agencies shall submit to OMB detailed information on any programs, projects, or activities subject to this pause. Each agency must pause 1. Issuance of new awards. 2. Disbursement of federal funds under all open awards. And 3. Other relevant agency actions that may be implicated by the executive orders to the extent permissible by law until OMB has reviewed and provided guidance to your agency with respect to the information submitted. OMB may grant exceptions, allowing federal agencies to issue new awards or take other actions on a case-by-case basis to the extent required by law. Federal agencies may continue taking certain administrative actions, such as close out of federal awards or recording obligations expressly required by law. Additionally, agencies must, for each federal financial assistance program, 1, assign responsibility and oversight to a senior political appointee. Ooh, so now you've got culpability, so if they want to fire anybody, they can. To ensure federal financial assistance conforms to administration priorities. 2, review currently pending federal financial assistance announcements to ensure administration priorities are addressed. And, subject to program statutory authority, modify unpublished federal financial assistance announcements, withdraw any announcements already published, and to the extent permissible by law, cancel awards already awarded that are in conflict with administration priorities. And 3, ensure adequate oversight of federal financial assistance programs and initiate investigations when warranted to identify underperforming recipients and address identified issues up to and including cancellations of awards. Destiny, not just federal workers, all researchers and contractors working off of government grants, maybe minus defense folks. This is millions of jobs just Thanos snapped. Jesus fuck. Okay, anyway, that was the memo. Memos typically aren't very complicated to read. I don't know why. Sorry, I do know why. It's because he's a lying, evil person. That's why he said memos are complicated. They're not.
The order was issued a week ago. There were some
there was the
there were some bureaucrats in the federal government who tried to push out money, billions of dollars, for wicked and pernicious purposes that had to be frozen. A guidance memo was written. OMB guidance memos are by their nature complicated to read.
Like, just think about what he's saying. OMB guidance memos are complicated. It's supposed to provide guidance. What do you mean? That defeats the whole purpose of a guiding memo.
Because this involves the federal budget. The choice here is simple. It is very simple, and I want to state it clearly.
Okay.
Either Donald Trump gets political control over this government and ends the waste, abuse, and fraud on the American people, or we let bureaucrats autopilot federal spending. If we hadn't stepped...
Why does every Trump guy right now look like a hamster on a wheel is running their brain?
...in, then billions more dollars, as an example, would have gone to left-wing NGOs that fund and resettle illegal aliens and are complicit, in many cases, in facilitating child trafficking.
Okay,
so this
obviously
administration will never, ever apologize for defending the American taxpayer.
Obviously, nobody's in favor of child trafficking.
Discover endless opportunities at IT Park Uzbekistan, a place where innovation meets...
Jesus Christ. Hitler Ascent by Volker Ulrich is a great read on Hitler's rise to power. Wow, thanks. Read this about Stephen Miller. I don't care about his past, whatever racist. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about that. I just care about him fucking the government up right now. There's other shit you can dig into for a lot of these people, but I don't care that much. Somebody posted earlier in my chat, Destiny, that includes me, also a Fed. Apparently a new wave of resign or else emails just went out. Haven't gotten mine yet, but I suspect it will by the end of the week. Imagine ever fucking, imagine being a federal agent. I feel like it's got to be the most cucked job right now. That pardon of all the J6ers. You're a federal agent who arguably puts your life on the line, like fighting to protect the law, to protect American interests domestically, whatever. And people attack you, led by the president, and then they all get pardoned. That's so great. Why even bother? If you're a Fed, why do you even do your job? What the fuck is the point? Oh, also, real quick, all of the money that they might save in all this crazy shutdown bullshit in DEIs and affirmative action, whatever money gets saved there, 10 times more is going to be spent for our new military budget. Because I don't know if this is for real or not, but I keep hearing things said by the Trump admin that they want NATO spending to increase to 5% of GDP. 5%. What is our current military, U.S. current military budget for fiscal year 2025 was $850 billion. U.S. 2024 GDP projected to be just under 29 trillion. Wait, did I fuck this up? $580 billion. Which was, wait, why did I think this was less? Am I crazy? AI response, it's about 3% of GDP. No, this is right for the, only one country is close to 5% and it's Poland. Multiply, not divide. Oh shit, did I do the wrong operator? Oh, sorry, I thought I just mindfucked myself. It would be 29 trillion times 5. Oh, okay. Wait. Hold on, listen. My sick brain can't work that well. Times, oh, I'm pushing the wrong button on my keyboard too. Times 0.05. Okay. So if our GDP was $29 trillion, our spending on military is expected to be $1.5 trillion. That should be what we budget for it if we want to hit that 5% commitment, unless there's some other way that they calculate. But I'm pretty sure the NATO spending percentage is a percentage of your GDP spent on your military. So the United States, we would have to almost, not double, but we would have to insanely, whatever money they were saving, these small things, we have to insanely increase our military spending. I have no idea what I don't know what I don't even know. I don't know what the fuck. I have no idea. I don't know what this administration is doing. I don't know what any of these things mean. I don't know how any of this is going to play out. I don't know if the goal is to just keep upping the NATO, the military financial investment things until countries just drop from NATO, or if they're saying that if they just want NATO to fail. I have no idea what that looks like. My commander briefed us all DEI will end, no more official Pride Month, etc. They can't stop me and private base organizations from continuing them hard. One employee in my work unit received a concerned communication from the HR@opm.gov email that discusses the reformed federal workforce and what pillars will be used. It goes on to explain, should they not be in line with that, they can resign voluntarily via responding to this email. It has been reported and flagged appropriately, but after seeing many having not received this in the work unit, I wanted to see if others had gotten one as well. Do I have how many federal people here? Has anybody else gotten this? Destiny, NATO requires 2%, not 5%. The new talking point from the Trump admin has been 5%. I heard that today. They said that today again in the press conference. Fuck, what was I watching? Press conference today, USA. Is this? I don't know if this is going to be real or not, but I keep hearing this repeated. I think I heard Trump say this multiple times as well.
To the NATO Defense Alliance, is it as strong as the prior administration? Is it the same as when he served as president in his first term in office?
As long as NATO pays their fair share, and President Trump has called on NATO allies to increase their defense spending to 5%. You actually saw the head of NATO at Davos last week on Bloomberg television saying that President Trump is right, and if Europe wants to keep itself safe, they should increase their...
Like, there's no way, yeah, the U.S. is not going to meet this. There's no shot that the United States increases our military spending that much. It's like impossible. At Destiny, you're so fucking retarded. You didn't even listen to what was said. He's saying for other countries to spend more. Wait, so every other country but us has to spend 5%? And I'm fucking retarded? Okay, bro. During the first week of his administration, President Trump should return to office. Oh, and they're bringing everybody back to the office too. Why? Why would the U.S. want out of NATO geopolitically? Well, if you're an isolationist, then it's because you just don't want to do anything with the rest of the world. You just want to like turtle up. Performance culture. The federal workforce should be comprised of the best America has to offer. We will insist on excellence on every level. Our performance standards will be updated to reward and promote them. So you're going to spend more money on these employees? Because my understanding is government jobs just don't pay very much. At Destiny, it's a pretty basic negotiating technique. You don't make a first ask for what you'd be happy with. Okay, so for all the people talking about basic negotiations, thank you for illustrating that you've never been involved in a serious negotiation in your entire life. Because if you show up to any serious negotiation and you give an insulting offer on the first pass, chances are you won't even get a fucking response. Nobody in the real world walks into a negotiation like that, where it's like, hey, so, you know, you want to buy us out for 10 million? We feel like we've got a higher valuation than that. Let's talk. And the guy's like, actually, I was thinking 1 million and maybe I'll wear rubber the next time I fuck your mom. And it's like, excuse me? And it's like, bro, chill. We're just negotiating, okay? Jesus. Like, no, that's unhinged. And I'm so tired of all these like fucking broke, like no negotiating techniques or experience ever dipshit Trumples coming on and talking about like, actually, this is actually how you negotiate. You negotiate by putting forth things that you would never do. How does that even make sense? Why would anybody take your first pass seriously if they know that you're not going to do it? Like, it's your logic is self-defeating. Trump says he's going to tear everybody 1,000%. Well, obviously they know that he's not going to do that. That's a negotiating tactic. What are you negotiating with if they know you're not going to do it? Why not just skip the bullshit and then go to the real first? Like, it's so stupid. It's like your art of the deal is like pissing on a. It's like pissing in a martini and then getting kicked out of the restaurant and thinking you got like a free meal or something. I don't even know. It's just, it's like it's not, I don't know why I'm responding to that comment seriously. This is fucking retarded. Okay. More streamlined and flexible workforce, enhanced standards of conduct, federal workers requires reliable, loyal, trustworthy, and who strive for excellence. Okay, good one. All right. Do you think that there are any Republicans that could jump ship and impeach him before this gets really bad? I don't know, because every single Republican that turns against Trump does a really good job at fucking demolishing them, as much as possible. So, I mean, right now it seems like everybody's still kind of in lockstep, so. Jesus.